Hey, WokeNFree Nation, Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice.
For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening.
You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, or even one of your favorite celebrities. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud.
And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, WokeNFree, is there too.
Now let's get into the episode. Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 256th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week we're asking a really interesting question, which is, should friends get into business together? But before we dive deep into the subject, a couple of things to cover. Have you gone to WokeNFree.com not only to listen to this episode, but to download it through the Podbean app? If you haven't, please do so immediately, because if you have the app and you download this episode, that's how you're able to put your comments in, because we want to hear if you've started a business or you're further along in your business journey with a friend. We want to hear it from beginning, middle, and end and beyond. So make sure you share your thoughts with us. If you listen to podcasts on a device for which whatever reason you can't download another app like the Podbean app, then the solution is to go to WokeNFree.com and go on the Listen tab to pick your platform of choice where you're going to listen to the show, but also to subscribe and follow WokeNFree. So we're on iTunes, on TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. It's a WokeNFree world. Plenty of places to support the show, so no worries there. Also, on WokeNFree.com, you can click on the top of the page to subscribe to follow the show through the Podbean app. And on social, please holler at us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And if you have 90 seconds, which really is not like a question, more so a statement, go on the Listen tab on WokeNFree.com and pick your platform of choice where you'd like to review the show at. We cannot wait to hear your thoughts. And with that, I'm going to kick it to you, Khalil.
Before we start this glorious conversation, we'd like to share a little bit about ourselves. This week we are asking, would you rather spend 24 hours on the subway or public bus people watching?
I'm not even going to address the weird accent. So the answer that you're requesting from me is going to be the public bus, because I've spent too many years in my prior life as a New Yorker being underground and trains, and they're gross. And I understand that, listen, you have to do what you have to do to get where you need to go. But for those of you who have a choice, it's always nice to be above ground versus underground. So that's where I sit with that. How about you?
That's a good point. I agree. I would do the public bus, and I have really three main reasons I choose that. The first is that you get fresh air when you're above ground.
True.
And the doors open at some point. I know they have air conditioning in it, but at least the doors open and you can get some real air compared to when you're underground. You just get that smog of whatever kind of air is down there. The other thing is that if you're above ground, you're actually going to more likely to see more people compared to in the subway. You're only going to see people that are on the subway. And I know some people don't take the subway. And then the last thing I think about is that being above ground is going to be a lot more scenic than mostly the same platforms of the subway. I know some platforms are kind of cool looking and they got designs and stuff, but most of them are very generic, and the best thing you're going to see is a rat taking a pizza up the steps, something like that.
That's not graphic at all. Exactly.
Yeah, but those are the type of things you find in the subway.
New York survival stories.
Yeah, exactly.
To be told. We should totally do an episode on, worst New York experience.
Oh, man.
Or
there's
funniest.
Some crazy stuff, yeah.
Or funniest, one of the two.
Yeah, there's definitely different stuff that happens.
Might be coming down the pipeline at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, so you just got to think about that. If you were with your friend, wouldn't you want to be on a bus? Because there you could actually brainstorm together what business idea you would do.
That's the good? Sloppy connection here. Nice.
Would that be a nice way to do it?
So what is your question?
Now, but then I got to ask the question, though, since you're on the bus with your friend. Should friends get into business together?
Nice. Early scenario starting. Okay, gotcha. So with that, I would say yes, but do keep in mind the nature of your friendship absolutely will change. And there is more at risk now. So the likelihood of your friendship ending is higher more now than ever. And then you need to be prepared to even possibly lose that friendship, regardless of the success or failures you experience in that business. So if you can deal with either of those scenarios happening, then absolutely get into business with your friends. And you?
I think you got to decide what you want. So if you want the business really badly, you got to decide, do you really need this friend to jump into it together with you? Because if you do it, I think your friendship's going to be changed a lot. So it might not last the business. It might just go away. So
probably.
I think the only way to do this is if you really need that friend, if it's kind of like that friend has something that you need to get the business started, then maybe do it. But otherwise, I want to do the thing where you just say, hey, we should do a business together. And then you just start thinking up ideas. I don't know if it should be like that. But unless you want to be prepared to lose that friendship, because that friendship is not going to be the same.
Definitely
it's going to change,
Definitely changes, for sure. But, it's a really good shout out, and I'll include it, make sure we have it in the links on WokeNFree.com, is, what was it called, Startup? I think it was like a Crackle show that came over to Netflix.
It was Crackle?
I think it was a Crackle show, but is that what that platform's called? I think so, right?
I mean, that is a platform.
Yeah, I think that's
There's a lot of platforms,
but I think it came over, and it's such a really good show. Definitely check it out. I'll make sure that we have that in our link. So next, though, is the classic do's and don'ts for friends getting into business together. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I found an article on Forbes, and they gave 4 points talking about friends getting into business together. The first thing they mentioned is transparency, and they were just talking about you should be communicative with each other, and you should speak the truth, and you don't want to actually try to manipulate, your partner while you're speaking with them. Oh, wow. So just say what you mean. Don't try to get a rise out of them, or just you got to be upfront. This is not. Like, you're not trying to get your friend to try the latest cheesesteak with you, right? So
gotcha.
You gotta be transparent about that. Next thing they brought up is priorities. What does the business mean to each of you is what you gotta think about. Because people's purpose and reason for partnership, it can actually be opposite. And it can actually be detrimental as well, because some people might be doing it for fun, right? They just said, I want to do something different, or I want to be my own boss. There's different reasons you do that. The next thing is fairness. You want to realize that you and your friend might actually differ on what working hard looks like.
That's
Everybody
hilarious.
has different work ethics, right?
That's hilarious.
And it can be very tough in the business when that becomes exposed. Because when you're friends, that's usually not exposed. I mean, might know that one person eats 50 hot dogs, the other only eats one, but that's not your work ethic, right? You gotta but you just gotta know what work ethic is and not. I'm just, because people might think. They might say, if you can eat all those...
eating 50 hot dogs, Khalil?
Maybe the mini slider sandwiches, too. Something like that. But I'm just saying, think about it.
Shout out to White Castle. I mean, what are you saying?
See, you brought their name up. Yeah. It could be them. It could be any slider.
Suspect slider type of... Okay.
We don't know.
You were thinking about
the
White Castle, the double-decker ones.
It could be anywhere.
The bacon and egg and cheese.
But think about that. Just because you can eat 100 of those doesn't mean you have a high work ethic, right? People might not know that, though.
Ludicrousy.
Because if you have a friend that does that, though, you just got to know the truth. That doesn't mean
someone's working and someone's eating sliders. Who's working? You're saying?
No, I'm saying, all right, if you hang out with your friends, you'll see them doing certain things. Like, you might see them, I don't know, they know how to do a handstand on their bicycle. It doesn't mean they're, like, the most talented, financial executive you can hire in your business.
Okay.
I don't you shouldn't make connections. I don't think.
So just because someone has one form of talent doesn't mean that they're actually a great business person.
They might not be great in business. So that's I just say keep that in mind.
I'm still processing the hot dogs
burgers
and the sliders.
But if you start a business about a food eating contest, I don't know, app, then maybe it would work,
So maybe they
right?
shouldn't get into business with each other, but one should compete in the contest.
Yeah, they could, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, see, sometimes wonderful. You can do that, too. Instead of getting the business together, you can just go and do some fun stuff. Or you can do fun stuff because you might say, I want to surf the biggest wave on the planet. So the next tsunami comes.
I'll make millions and you go and surf for the
On the tsunami, though. When the tsunami comes, then you got to surf on that.
I have no comments.
Oh, okay. So that's what you got to think about. And the last thing is, this is pretty important. It's about profit sharing, and the person who wrote this article, they recommend it, and I agree with this, is don't split the business 50-50. That's the worst thing you can do.
Correct.
You need to allow each partner to make their own decisions, and they need to work on their own without consulting each other for the little things. You don't want to go and try to like double guess yourself. You want each partner to make their own decisions.
Distinctive autonomy and control. Yeah, that makes sense. So I found some really helpful do's and don'ts on nerdwallet.com, which is, I love their commercials, so I was excited about this one.
They have commercials? Cool.
They do have commercials, and they definitely recommend that you do communicate often, especially about the difficult things. I thought that was super important. Also, similar to kind of what you talked about, they say do make sure your roles and responsibilities are clearly defined from the outset. Everyone doing everything is going to be challenging at a certain point in the business. So pick your lane and have your distinctive lane. I think that makes sense. You don't want to step
on each other.
Correct.
Right. All doing the same things.
There's also the recommendation of do write a business plan and an exit plan, with or without legal counsel. I thought that was interesting.
Exit plan. I would say do that.
The lawyer in me suggests, if possible, seek legal advice, because you could just get some, help, even if you work through, what is there? There's a I'll include a link in the episode, but every state has like these, the name is escaping me.
Sharing is caring?
Exactly. But no, it's like some type of free business support, that every like state offers for folks who want to work with like a mentor, and you can get like free legal support there as well. And so I also recommend make intentional time for your friendships separate and apart from the business. Now, granted, those conversations might dip a little into business just because it's going to be a natural transition, but but still try to do things to nurture the friendship. That way folks don't feel like, wow, like you're just in this for the money, right? And that you were friends before you became business partners. So what happened to the friendship, right? Don't mourn or put that to bed just because you're now, making money hopefully together. Also, I would recommend, and I speak from personal experience on this one, make sure you do speak to your business partners with respect, that these are people who you intentionally wanted to have a friendship with, so you should intentionally want to respect them in business. And if you ever cross that line, it's going to be the detriment to your friendship and then your business relationship. And then do actually take action, like on a daily basis, not only from communication, but for how the business can thrive on both actions that are going to be profitable and successful for your friendship and your business to both thrive. Now, some recommendations NerdWallet shared on the don'ts were, and you mentioned this, don't assume that you have the same vision for your business or the same level of commitment. Hot dog scenario, ... Also, as much as possible, don't intermingle your personal lives and your business lives. That makes sense.
Good luck.
Because that's boundaries, right? And that's about setting and sticking to those. And then also, I mentioned it before, don't forget that you were friends before you were in business. So do nurture that friendship. And then speaking from personal experience, would argue, don't be petty. Don't call each other names, and don't forget, the importance of being flexible and reasonable. Just because you see something this way is not the only way to see something. And that might be like, wow, that's not like obvi, but no, it can totally happen. So making sure that we stick to that is critical.
And you should just mention that you should only be petty in your friendship. That's where it makes sense.
You're now listening to WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
WokeNFree. WokeNFree. A podcast that keeps it real and honest.
So no.
Okay.
Don't be petty in your friendships. Don't be petty in your marriages. If you're trying to throw them blows at me.
I said friendship without.
But I know your mind
thing.
though, Khalil. So.
You know the mind of mine.
You're a sick person.
I had the sick one, right? Trying to give some good advice out there. You're just trying to shut it down.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing. Khalil. Don't be petty in your marriage. Don't be petty in your friendship.
When should you be petty, though? That's my question.
With yourself, I guess.
So you can be petty with yourself?
No, I'm kidding.
Would you be petty then? I would know. Or is it just something not to do?
One should not do it.
Oh, so, all right. So just in general,
try to avoid being petty.
This is not a business tip. It's a life tip then.
Correct. It's it's an unproductive behavior, but just making sure in business we try not to be petty because people get salty and it's just not necessary.
So then I would argue that your last points are like life tips then.
Yes, that play into how you run into business. Tips, right? Yeah.
There's stuff you can apply to other areas of your life.
Correct, exactly.
You shouldn't go around calling people names, right?
Correct.
Don't do like our former leader did.
One who shall not be named, yeah.
No, I'm not. I don't have to say
Voldemort.
I'm not calling something into power that I don't need to. But I'm just getting it out there because it's the truth. Don't
speak it into existence.
It's the truth.
Indeed, we shouldn't call.
Don't call each other names.
Don't
call anybody names, though.
Don't call anybody names.
There's no
just
need
call
for
them
it.
by their government name or whatever name they've asked to be called.
Just call them what they want to be called. That's
exactly.
what I'd say. Because who cares?
For what they want to be called and then call them.
Because everybody should have that right.
As long as that doesn't offend you, and then if it does, then refer to them as person.
I mean, then you're being messed up. But yeah, it is possible because people are funny. They play some. They play some
tricks. People can be offended by anything.
Because I mean, because what if I want to be called like an offensive term?
Yeah, please.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Then don't call me that.
Yeah, if it's an offensive term and you can't adhere
you're just messing around.
Then
right?
just call them person.
Yeah, you're just messing around. Now, will getting into business together ruin the friendship?
Ultimately, I think yes, because it changes to such a degree that I don't know how much of the friendship can last, but I do know that there are people who get into business and it works, and I've seen it work, and it can work for many years, but ultimately, I don't know if that's still a friendship anymore, if it's like this new hybrid thing. So like, I think it's kind of like closing the door to traditional friendship, but it opens the door to something different. It's a partnership. It's a business relationship, but I don't know how much of it is truly, truly still a friendship. So I wouldn't, maybe the language isn't ruined, but I would say, does it forever change it? The answer is yes. Could it ruin it? Probably is my estimation.
Okay. No, I think that it will ruin 99% of people that do this because in order for the business to succeed, I think some of those friendship like pieces that you had, they're going to have to go away. But if you let the business fail, I think your friendship actually can still do well.
Awesome.
That's what I would say. But if you really want the business to be successful, no, you don't put that much into it. Just put $20 into the business and see what happens.
Beautiful. Shark Tank approach, yeah.
yeah. There you go. Get investors. You don't have to fund it. So as long as you.
Goodness.
But the key is if you want the business to succeed, I think your friendship's going to suffer because of that.
That's why I say, really, when you get into business, the key is to actively try to nurture the friendship and the business equally and apart. Because
but how can you do that? Because technically, the business wants to succeed and it wants you to put all its energy towards helping succeed. So it's kind of like if you're spending time on your friendship instead of working on the business, the business itself would be like, hey.
But what you need to do is you need to bake friendship time into the business. So kind of like if you want to try product, so maybe you're in a baking business, right? So you want to try out new recipes. Don't do that by yourself separately. Do it together so it's more fun. So that's like the friendship type that's still furthering the business, right? Like you have to intentionally bake in time to nurture both. And if you can, then, taking pictures for social media, you can be silly. You can do that together. Don't do it apart. Like find opportunities to do things together so that your friendships can still thrive.
That's true. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Bernice started a yard sales business with her friend Maribel. Bernice works 60 hours a week on the business, while Maribel will manage 2 hours at max. Do you think this could ruin the business, friendship, or both?
Ooh, that's a harsh one. Yeah, so probably both, because this, I think, speaks to your earlier comment around who's hardworking versus who's not. 60 hours versus 2 is, sadly, very imbalanced.
2 is the max, though, too.
Yeah, so. And that, but then one could argue, right, devil's advocate, maybe in those 2 hours, Maribel is actually even more effective than Bernice is. So, you'd have to do more.
It's possible.
Inquiry.
That's what's funny.
So, yeah, because you don't know. Because someone could spend 2 hours, and that for another person could be 60 hours of work. It just really depends on, are those 2 hours being spent on strategy? Is it being spent on business development? Is it being spent on bringing in funding? It really depends on what those 2 hours are. they're being done and how are they being used. But ultimately, I would say there's a bit of an imbalance here. And now also, does Maribel own 90% of the business and Bernice own 10%, right?
Yeah,
like, what's the equity take in
things.
here? Or what is the investment? What are the expectations? There's a lot that goes into business prosperity. So on the surface, that seems imbalanced, and it seems like it can cause issue for both the friendship and the business, but more inquiry would be necessary.
I think this could hurt the friendship no matter what. Just because no matter, even if Maribel got more done and was more effective with the 2 hours, I just think once Bernice finds out that she's working less on it, just as a friend, she'd be like, you're just working so much less than me. I don't like that. Like,
I think
too many hot dogs. People are going to take that to heart.
I do. I think that's where people are going to get petty and be like, why am I working so hard?
It may not hurt the business though, because they might still
how
work
those
out.
Hours are, yeah.
But the friendship, you might look at the person differently now. Like Bernice will say, I don't know, Maribel, that doesn't seem right to me. I don't see how I'm doing all this. I'm wasting all this time and effort, and you don't have to do all that. Like, people do, but you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Don't get
you shouldn't be jealous either. Don't let any of that take you. Don't look at what the other people do and watch yourself, right?
Stay in your lane. What is your lane? If your lane requires 60 hours of work and you want everyone else to have that same expectation, then put more in her lane.
Yeah. Don't play. I don't think you should play the comparison game. Just look at what's really happening. Yeah. Scenario 2. Doña and Benjamin have worked together for the past 20 years on a joint venture while being friends for the last 40 years. Although the business is successful, they have not hung out since the business began. Do you think they can maintain a friendship even though they don't relax together?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. So, being that there's such longevity in both their business relationship as well as their friendship, I mean, to be friends for 40 years, that you've seen people go through a lot in that. And I would imagine that even if there was not enough in-person connectivity, that they wouldn't throw 40 years away, because that's a long time to be friends. I mean, well, we're not 40, so we can't even be friends with someone for 40 years. But even that, like, what's your longest standing friend? Like, 8 years? 10 years, maybe? Like, currently, today?
Oh, you're talking about current or in
today,
the past?
Not in the past.
Because to say the past, I may have had, like, longer friendships.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it'd be like 12 plus years.
Okay, so, yeah, that's a lot. It's hard to keep good people in your life. It's hard to, when you find them, to hold on to them. So I would say that probably no, because if they've gone through 40 years, I don't see how not having enough in-person connectivity could ruin their friendship. I would argue, though, that they probably should just plan a meetup if that is something that they like to do.
So I'm actually going to go back to something you said, and I think what they could do is, since now they don't spend the time together, is they can do like business stuff together and make it fun. So if there is some thing that needs to get done, maybe they can make it like a joint thing, and it can be more. It could be more relaxing and business oriented, and I think that'll help this out, because this isn't just like a friend that you just met, last week. This is 40 years, so you may be able to actually maintain it just because you do have all that time under your belt, and you probably know each other pretty well. So I think it might actually be possible, even though currently you're on the wrong path for keeping the friendship. Yeah, I think you can actually salvage it. Yeah. Okay. Scenario 3. Wangari enrolled with a company that allows him to sell life insurance. He really wants to get Nikolai to team up with him because he knows Nikolai is a great salesman. Unfortunately, Nikolai is enjoying his current job and doesn't think teaming up with Wangari would be fiscally responsible. Should Nikolai give in to Wangari's wants because they are friends?
Oh, great question. So you have to live on your terms, and you have to know what you want, but you also need to be open to the possibility. The universe delivers opportunities to you every single day. It is up to you to see them and jump for the opportunity. And just because you have a full-time job, short of whatever the terms of your employment are, if you have the opportunity, freedom, and space and bandwidth to be able to entertain other income-earning activities, I always encourage that, because you should have, most millionaires and billionaires, right, have more than one form of income, stream of income in their life. So I would encourage that Nikolai, that he consider the opportunity, but if he doesn't necessarily think it's a great opportunity with Wangari, then just laying out the terms specifically. I'm listen, love our friendship, love hanging out. However, I don't want to get into business for the following specific reasons. And then Wangari, at that point, unless he can be more convincing, then that's going to be the end of that conversation. But I think Nikolai should be open to hearing why this is a great opportunity, and then Wangari needs to be a really good salesperson and sell him on why he needs to join him in this opportunity.
All right, so then, but he should only do the opportunity if he doesn't have to give up his current job, or no, it's okay?
He shouldn't have to give up his current job. Yeah,
if he has to, then you just say no to your friend.
Well, if you're giving up your current employment, then again, do the numbers make sense, right? This is getting into business with friends or non-friends. It's a financial decision. It's a passion decision, but ultimately you've got to pay your light bill and you've got to be able to eat and have water. So, making sure that whatever decision you're doing affords you the lifestyle and the home that you're looking to have. And then if it makes sense, then sure. But otherwise, keep the day job and then start the business on the side.
All right. So if this only works then if it's a side business, then you would say
if it's a full-time switch,
if it's full-time, then
there's got to be guaranteed. Well, there've got to be opportunities to say, okay, I'm coming over full-time, but here is my, 5 times bigger check than I get in my day job, right? Like there's got to be a financially.
So if Wangari had some funding, then maybe he can consider it.
Unless Nikolai is independently wealthy and is just working for kicks and giggles. Again, you can't just give up your income for just this possibility of income. I mean, you can.
Yeah, from this scenario, I could see.
I like measured risk. I'm not for kind of a broad stroke risk. That's not where I live. But that's my approach to life.
Yeah, I mean, this scenario. That's what this is implying is that. Nikolai wants to be responsible, and he knows if he leaves his job,
that he's not going to be able to eat.
Yeah, not for this business that Wangari's doing. I mean, because there's no guarantees for that. God, yeah, no. For him selling the life insurance, it's just whatever he can actually get for customers. So you say, even though that's your friend, you're gonna have to say no because I like to eat.
Do with friendship, everyone's got to eat.
But that's his friend. A friend is making an offer.
Water. You have to air conditioning. What are you suggesting?
Yeah, but you can get one of those filters for the mud and filter out the water
for the mud.
Yeah, to filter water out of the mud.
Get away from me.
You can do stuff with that too.
Get away from me immediately.
No, you can
get away from me.
Like there's the high protein crickets on the market.
I just saw somebody, I won't say her name because I love her too much, saw somebody eating ants, and I said, what is this?
That's not,
I'm done. I can't.
No, that's not a thing.
I can't.
Sorry, that's not a real
and
thing.
If people saw that, they know who I'm talking about.
I can't. Okay. Yeah. No, that's not
love her to death, but I can't.
You need to get something more high protein in your life.
I need food that is not covered in insects.
So even, but even if you had this opportunity with your friend,
and there's food with insects, that's what you're gonna have to do.
You trade your filet mignon for fried insects.
Who are you talking to?
I'm just telling you, a friend's making a business offer.
Measured risk that is reasonable.
But all to know here is that you say it doesn't matter that they're a friend. It's you just want to make sure you're living good.
Business. Anybody care about that? What are you talking about?
Because your friend's asking you to do something.
Good for them.
You're just going to tell them no.
Does this make sense? We have to make a little bit of sense in life.
But they're doing it. They're living their life that way. Why can't you join them on that journey?
That's wonderful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I will bless you and pray for you, but I have got to be able to eat and have air conditioning. What are you suggesting?
Suggesting that at least you'll be friends together on this new venture.
And we can live on the street together?
Yeah, you can figure out new stuff. Maybe you'll start another business together.
Who's buying my Amazon items? Like, what?
No, you're not getting any of that anymore. No, that's gone.
See, I don't know who you're talking to. You must not be talking to me.
You got a journey and you got to backpack it. Yeah. You wanted, so you're just like, no, that's definitely
I'm an advocate of multiple streams of income.
But if it was in addition to, you were okay.
I'm for that life.
Yeah, I don't think
as long as that is within the realm of your employment agreement. But if it is not, then it's a no. But if it's within your employment agreement, everyone should be working on multiple ventures at once. Why do you not want more money in life? I don't understand.
So then Nikolai should convince Wangari get a second job or something, right?
Yeah, or that too, yeah. So keep the day job and do this business. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it doesn't, you'd have to give up the business.
You say do two things. You say you shouldn't just do the one.
I mean, I appreciate when people tell
Some
me
people
they
do that. They
just
put
one
it
job.
all and put all
I've
their
always had 3 jobs since I was
time and
14,
energy.
so it's really hard for me to understand that contextually. I get it's feasible. It's just not my journey. So my journey is always making sure that you have multiple streams of income. That way, no matter what happens in life, you have something coming into the pot, and that you can, again, have water and have air conditioning. These are not things that I joke with.
You don't need air conditioning everywhere. You know that. I don't think Alaska you need it.
I don't know what to say.
You don't know what to say about Alaska.
So what's your answer here?
My answer is you shouldn't let your friend decide your lifestyle. So that's definitely going to be
nice
a no.
Toad.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a no.
Nice.
Because,
hard pass.
Because he already said you're enjoying your current job. And just because it's your friend, I mean, and he already considered it wouldn't be fiscally responsible. So then why are you doing
Keep
it then?
moving.
I think you shouldn't do it. But I know for other people, it's a lot harder than that because they don't want to break their friend's heart.
Oh, yeah.
But
so life tip, right?
do.
Here's a WokeNFree life hack. Be comfortable, lean in on the idea of saying no to anyone, including your friends, your parents, anyone. Could care less. Like, you have to be able to say no, because if you cannot say no, then that means you risk having your life controlled by other people. That's too dangerous of a proposition. Too dangerous to live that way. I don't think
anybody wants that.
So you've got to live on your terms, and that means you have to say no. So if you take anything from this episode, please take that, smile, laugh, and remember that there's more to life than, insects, hot dogs, and
mud.
And mud. And with that, we are at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 256th episode of WokeNFree. Quite the episode answering the question, should friends get into business together? Now, Khalil, what do folks need to do?
They know what they need to do. They need to come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, which we know you do, we are pretty much closed up for this year, but we'll consider 2023 consideration. So best way to share your story, to convince us that you need to share your story with WokeNFree Nation, is to hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. We're very active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, at WokeNFree. And then for sponsorship or collaborations, which you want to talk to us about, again, hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That's WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Till next time.